Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Super Beginner Piano Lessons. In today's lesson, we are going to learn how to play in the key of C. Now, from my last video, we talked about how if you're a pianist, you'll notice that people sing in different frequencies, tones, pitches, and basically your job as a pianist is to match whatever frequency, tone, or pitch that they're singing in. So there's about 14 different pitches or tones that people sing in, and in the piano and other musical instruments like the guitar and bass guitar, we call this 14 different keys. So there's 14 different keys that you can play in on the piano, guitar, or bass guitar that will match one of the 14 different keys or frequencies or pitches that people sing in. Last video we learned the simplest key a pianist can play in, which is the key of G. And today we're going to learn the second most simplest key a pianist can play in, and that's the key of C. So why don't we get right to it? Now, the key of C contains three different major chords. And a major chord, if you remember from the last video, is just simply a grouping of notes, about 3 notes together to make one mega or super note, which is, in the music world, we call that a chord. So, for instance, if I hit all these 3 different notes here together, I just made a chord. So, in the key of C, the first chord, major chord, is the C chord. The second major chord is the F chord, and the third major chord is the G chord. Now, the C chord starts off with the note of C, and then the second note in the C chord is the note of E, and the final note on the C chord is the note of G. And there you have it. That is the major chord of C. The second major chord in the key of C is the chord of F. Now, real quick before I jump into playing the chord of F, a little disclaimer, or not a little disclaimer, a little side notes. I chose to do the key of C secondly in this in teaching you guys all the 14 different keys of the piano, because I felt the key of C is the second easiest compared to the key of G, second easiest to the key of G. In actuality, on the piano, I've learned that the key of C is actually just as easy as the key of G. However, on the guitar, the key of C is a little bit is harder. The key of G is definitely the easiest on the guitar, at least. But on the piano, it's hard to tell. The key of G and C is actually just as easy as each other. What makes the key of C a little bit harder on the guitar is that F chord. The reason that is because if you want to have a nice sounding F chord, you have to play what's called a bar F chord. And those of you who's played the guitar will understand that a bar chord is a little tricky and it takes a little bit longer to learn. So that's the only reason why I assume the key of C is harder than the key of G, because of that F chord. If you want to do, you can play a regular F chord on the guitar without doing a bar chord, but it's just not going to sound as nice. So if you want to have a really nice sounding F chord, you have to play the bar chord, and it's tough. It's a little bit tough on the guitar. But on the piano here, actually, the F chord is quite simple, and the key of C is just as simple as the key of G. But I'm still going to say that the key of G is the easiest. So why don't we jump right into it? So the F major chord comprises 3 different notes. The first note, if you guys can guess, yes, if you guessed the first note is the note of F, you guessed it right. Note of F is the first note of the F chord. The second note is the note of A, and the final note is the note of C. Hit all together, you just made the chord of F. And the final chord in the key of C is the chord of G. The first note, what do you guys think? Yep, it's the note of G. The second note in the chord of G is the note of B, and the final chord in the final note in the chord of G is the note of D. So one more time through. So the first chord in the key of C is the chord of C. The first note in the chord of C is the note of C. Second note is the note of E. And final note is the note of G. The second chord in the key of C is the F chord. The first note in the F chord is the note of F. The second note in the chord of F is the note of A. And the final note in the chord of F is the note of C. The last chord in the key of C is the chord of G. The first note in the chord of G is the note of G. Second note in the chord of G is the note of B. And the final note in the chord of G is the note of D. Okay, why don't we play a song in this key? Let's see. Okay, here we go. I have one. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. And because I know he holds my future, and I feel living just because he lives. There you have it. And you can play this exact same song in the key of C, the key of G, following the same 1, 2, 3 progressions. So in the key of G, you'll start off with the G chord, then you'll transition to the C chord, and then you transition to the D chord. But here you start off with the C chord, transition to the F chord, and then end with the G chord. Now in the last video, I showed you guys how to play also a minor chord in the key of G. I'm gonna also show you guys in this one how to play one of the most common used minor chords in the key of C. What you have to understand is each key, all the 14 keys, comprises major chords and minor chords. A minor chord is the same concept as a major chord. It's simply a grouping of notes to make one powerful meganote. But however, a minor chord gives you a different kind of tone. It gives you more of a monotone or of a sad tone or a blues tone. Whereas a major chord is more upbeat. And if you watched my last video, I kind of went more in depth about it. But here, I'm just going to jump right into the minor chord. So one of the most common minor chords you use in the key of C is what's called the A minor. And the A minor is just comprised of 3 separate notes to make the A minor chord. Who can guess what the first note of a A minor chord is? You're right. It is the note of A. The second note in the A minor chord is the note of C. And the final note on the A minor chord is the note of E. And there you have it, the A minor chord. You see how it's kind of a little bit sad? It's a little bit downer, a bit of a downer note. Compare that with the F major chord. See how the F major chord is more upbeat, it's more uplifting. If I go to the A minor, it kind of goes down. So let's play that same song with the A minor chord. And by the way, most musicians add the minor chords just to add more of a blues feel, more of a sadder note. Most of the times you don't really need a minor chord in a lot of songs. They add it just to add more of a taste, more of a sadder, monotone taste. So same song, key of C, here we go. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives. I'm gonna add the A minor right now. Here we go. See that? There is gone. Oh, jeez. All right, messing up. Because I know he holds my future, and now and life a living just because he lives. One more time. Here we go. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives. A minor. fear is gone, because I know He holds my future, and now that life I'm living just because He lives. And that is how you play the key of C. We have about 12 more to go to, so stay tuned. I'll be adding the next key we'll be playing in. The next one we'll be talking about. The next key we're going to talk about will be the key of A major, the A major key. So thanks for watching, guys. Please share this with your friends. Like and share with your friends, please. And also, please, guys, subscribe. It will mean a lot to me. If you have any tips or any suggestions or any requests, feel free to comment below. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.